Over the last week, things have gone really bad for Disney as it relates to the Scarlett Johansson lawsuit over Black Widow. And now we're hearing reports that Disney insiders and investors are rather pissed at Disney CEO Bob Chapek. Did I say that right? Did I say JPEG again? He's not an image. Chapek. Yeah, I think I got it right. Anyways, let's talk about it. So when it comes to decision making, there is always a hierarchy of how these things happen. And at the very tip top of everything comes the bigwigs, the CEOs, the big guys that can approve or deny everything and anything that happens below them. Now, Kevin Feige is in charge of Marvel Studios and Marvel, but even if he says yes, it still has to go through an approval process where other people have to approve it. Among these people is Alan Horn, of course previously Bob Iger, and the man who took over his job, Bob Chapek. Now, as some of you recall, when he was first announced to be taking over, we discussed this on the podcast in depth. And we talked about the fact that we were really worried about him taking over because if you look at what he is good at, it's cutting costs everywhere just to make the bottom line look better. Having a lot of similarities and decision-making processes like some of the people in other companies who will do whatever they can to make it seem like they're profitable even if it does damage to their brand. WB, Sony, Fox, Universal all have the guy that is the version of Bob. So you see their trajectory and some of the bad decisions they've made. You know it came from the tippy top, and well, he's at the decision forefront of Disney. And even at that time, we said, this is bad because this guy does not care about anything else other than I gotta show profits and I will cut corners. And now what we're hearing per The Wrap is that they've talked with half a dozen and more since about what has happened at Disney with the lawsuit. And essentially, people within Disney are really mad. They are really pissed because he was at the decision-making forefront of the statement, of the approach to how to handle the whole going on streaming and not paying some of the people involved with it. And the fact that he was at the forefront of really just kind of pushing people aside just to toss it on there, announce how much they made on Disney Plus, and sort of undervalue some of the theatrical chains that are out there. Again, this is literally a pattern that he has over his entire time working at Disney. It's this exact thing. And what makes it worse, as The Wrap reports, is that there is things in place to avoid this situation, to avoid this type of public backlash, to avoid this going this public and the lawsuit hitting the mainstream where they could settle it behind the scenes and it would never be something that we know. But per his orders, none of this was a thing. It was just something that he pushed through saying, don't worry about it, we'll deal with it when it happens, we just gotta post these profits, we gotta show how good we are. Again, this is one of those things where if you look at it, this wouldn't have happened if Bob Iger was still there, because things have happened with Bob Iger there that we never found out about. One thing that we found out about that made it public was because many people talked about it, was the whole Kevin Feige versus Ike Perlmutter Marvel war. But that never would have made it public had it not become something that people on Marvel TV started to talk about and then just kind of made it out into public when they didn't want it to. The new Bob's mentality is, I don't care as long as we show profit, that'll make the investors happy. But that can only work for so long before you run into the same scenario half a dozen times, then you have nothing left. So is it worth sacrificing the Marvel brand just to show a slight profit? Probably not. So you can see why people like Kevin Feige and investors that are high on Marvel would be rather pissed, because his approach to it is to sacrifice everything they've built just to seem like that they're making money, which they are. Hand over fist. But you shouldn't sacrifice your brands and the integrity of the people running those studios because you want to post a profit. It's just not how that's done.